and welcome to my new channel. I hope you're having a great day. Today I'd like to share with you my techniques and my recipe for making Snello. It is the food that I feed to all my freshwater snails. Here are all the items that I use to make my Snello. I'll put a copy of the recipe in the description below, as well as a link to the items that I purchased online. The rest of the stuff I just got locally, and I'll let you know where I picked them up at. Okay, first up I am using Heinz by Nature. These are 100% natural and they come in a 128 milliliter jar, and I picked these up at my local Walmart for less than $2 each. I'm going to use about 1.5 jars of the pureed peas and spinach. It is made with just organic peas, organic spinach, and water. It's got some good calcium. And I'm also going to use 1/2 jar of the pureed sweet potatoes. Here again, made with organic sweet potatoes, a little bit of water, also good calcium. I use 100% calcium carbonate powder. It is great for their shell development. And I got this off Amazon.ca. It was only $12.99 for a 340 gram bottle. I'm also going to be using these Tetramin tropical fish food flakes that I got free with one of my fish tanks. And I'm going to be using 1 packet of Knox Gelatin. I picked up this 4-pack in the baking aisle at the grocery store. So first I'm going to combine the calcium carbonate powder and the fish food flakes in a bag. I am going to use 2 teaspoons of the calcium carbonate powder, and then I am going to use the whole package, or about 2 tablespoons of the tropical fish food flakes. Then I'm going to crush them together so that they form a very fine powder. It's so fine you almost can't even tell that the fish food flakes are even in there. So now I'm going to mix together the baby food. First I'm going to use 1.5 jars of the spinach and pureed peas, and then I'm going to add 1/2 jar of the sweet potatoes. Stir it together until it looks like this and it's really well combined. And once it's really well combined, you're going to stick it in the microwave for 30 seconds on high heat. And when it's done, you are going to take it out and you're going to stir it until all the hot spots are gone and it's a uniform temperature. And then, you guessed it, put it back in the microwave for another 30 seconds. And while the mixture is still hot, it's time to stir in the gelatin powder. Now I just tear off a little corner off the package, that way it comes out nice and slow. You want to add it nice and slow so that you don't get any lumps in the mixture. And then I add the calcium carbonate powder and fish food mixture, and then I just rinse my molds to make sure that they're nice and clean. I just shake off the excess water. Then it's time to put the mixture into the molds. I just lay them out on a flat surface and I just start spooning the mixture onto them. It's pretty thin at this point because it's still warm. I just spoon it on and I smush it around, and you'll notice that there's some bubbles and whatnot, some voids. What I do is I pick it up and I drop the molds onto the counter, and that kind of brings the bubbles to the top. And I just continue. I do this through all 3 of the molds, and there's just enough mixture usually to fill all the molds. I use a squeegee and that kind of cleans everything up, and it helps to push the mixture down into the molds. It's kind of a messy job, but it's kind of fun too. So I got these molds off of Amazon. I'll put a link in the description below. So while I'm cleaning these up, you can find a lot of different recipes on the internet for these. You can use pretty much any vegetable you want as long as they're snail safe and 100% organic and pesticide free. I'm just going to transfer these to a baking sheet, and I'm going to put them in the freezer and freeze them till they're solid, which takes about 2 to 3 hours. So these have been in the freezer for 2 or 3 hours. They're pretty solid. So I'm going to try and pop them out for you. And there you go. Little green gummy bears for snails. Ugh. They look actually not too bad. You can tell by the sound when I put them in the bowl how frozen they actually are. So they're pretty solid. They look good. There's not a whole lot of air bubbles or anything in there. I'm sure the snails will enjoy them. So I'm just going to continue to pop all of these out here, and after I'm finished this one, I will do it to the other two trays as well. I hadn't really intended on raising snails, but I got a mystery snail from my local fish store. It's a blue mystery snail, and she laid eggs and they hatched. So now I have probably about 100 blue mystery snails, and they can get quite big. The one I have is about 1.75 inches in diameter, and the babies are quite small right now. They're about the size of a sesame seed when they're born, but they're hungry little buggers, so you have to feed them something at least. So I went on the internet and I kind of combined a few different things that I learned, and this is what I came out with: green gummy bear Snello food. Okay, so here's a bowl full of green Snello gummy bear snail food. I'm sure they're going to enjoy it. I thought you might like to see whether or not the snails would actually eat it. So I put a gummy bear in the tank here, and I broke it in a couple of pieces afterwards. And you can see the snails are really enjoying it. The big one, she has no problem eating it at all, and after a couple of minutes they were just piled all over it. And usually it takes them a couple hours to eat a small one. I keep these stored in the freezer and I take them out as I need them. I also thought you might like an update on how they are growing and developing eating this Snello. And they are growing and they are developing fast, and their shells look absolutely great. If you've enjoyed watching this video, please like and subscribe. Wave goodbye, Luna. See y'all next time.